Talk boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this per tweet from Michael Benson. Tyson Fury on his critics of the Derek Chisora trilogy fight. He says, I think all those people who criticize, they can suck a big fat dick. How many times have they fought for a world title? How many times have they been punched in the face? That's my question to them.
My question to you is, what the fuck does that have to do with them buying your fight?
Yeah, that'll sell a few tickets. Tell your biggest critics, your biggest naysayers, hey, if you don't like this fight, suck a fat dick.
Testy.
The moment that this fight was officially announced, Tyson Fury became the subject of a lot of criticism, rightfully so, because you've already been there and done that with this fighter 2 times. A fighter of your stature, a 2-time lineal heavyweight champion, should not be revisiting his old stomping grounds just because he wants a big fat fucking purse, a big payday for beating up on a guy that he already beat. The consumer...
If you want a big fat fucking purse, you gotta put on a big fat fucking fight.
Oftentimes in the sport, the fighters themselves, they don't seem to understand that in spite of the sacrifices they've made to be professional boxers, pugilists, that has absolutely nothing to do with the relationship between them, their fights, and the consumer.
The promoters and the managers deal in that stuff.
But the fighters themselves, they don't seem to get it sometimes.
If you want reality, that's reality.
You might have had a big fight with Vlad.
He did.
And, 2-3 decent-sized fights with Deontay Wilder, but not everything you touch is going to turn into gold. And Tyson Fury's responses...
See, what you want is a big fat fucking purse every time you get out there. That's what you want.
But not every fight you fight in is a big fat fucking fight. A Derek Chisora trilogy...
What, in 2022? No, people are not going to have the same energy for that they had for the Klitschko fight, or the Wilder fight, or the proposed Anthony Joshua fight, or the proposed Alexander Usyk fight. They aren't going to have the same energy for that. They're going to criticize you for that.
They are not going to have the same energy for a Chisora trilogy that they had for those previous fights, or they would have for those other aforementioned fights. Put simply, and the only reason you're putting this on is because you want a big fat fucking purse. At the same time, you just want to keep busy fighting.
You want people to pay box office prices to see you keep busy?
It's a recession.
It's the holidays. Christmas is right around the corner. People are thinking about their families and how much money they got to chuck over to keep them happy, get them gifts.
What do you think? The average consumer has to be a professional pugilist to give you a piece of their mind? Is that how you think this works? Because it's not.
Nope.
They don't have to be pugilists. They don't have to be world champions. And if your fight is not attractive to them...
The fighter don't set the value of himself or his fight. The market sets the value.
The consumer. Because that's essentially where you want the money to come from, ideally. And if the consumer is communicating to you...
Throw your toys out of the pram, why don't you?
Now, some fighters, they have enough marquee value and a big enough following that they can still make a sizable wad of cash, even in a keep busy fight. Think Canelo Alvarez or somebody like that.
But I've been telling you this whole time, Tyson Fury's biggest fights, his biggest fights, he didn't sell those fights alone. With Vlad, it was Vlad those people in Dusseldorf were there to support.
With Deontay Wilder, you had 2 guys that ain't got all that much marquee value individually, but if they come together, they can make a decent-sized fight. And that worked out with Dillian White earlier this year. Dillian's got fans in the UK. I understand that Tyson Fury has fans, but so did Dillian. He didn't sell that on his own.
No, the people in the UK actually wanted to see that fight.
And in those aforementioned fights, well, Tyson Fury didn't have to resort to telling people to go suck a fat dick.
Out of frustration.
He wasn't subject to criticism, at least not as much for those fights as this one. This one,
you chose this.
No matter what. You didn't land on Derek Chisora by accident. You're making it seem like that's your only option, but it's not. There's still Martin Bacoli. There was still Michael Hunter.
You fucking better fight Usyk next year. Otherwise, what the hell was the point of this?
It was a keep busy fight. Supposed to be a keep busy fight to tide you over while you wait to get your ducks in order for the Usyk fight. If that's what this was intended to be, you fucking better fight that fucking guy next year.
You fucking better.
And just in keeping with the theme of heavyweight news per tweet from Michael Benson, Eddie Hearn has declared he's going to reach out to Shelley Finkel after he said Deontay Wilder wants to fight Anthony Joshua next. More than willing to have that conversation. Definitely open to make that fight next, or even the one after.
It shouldn't be next. It should be after next. If Deontay Wilder got to have a rebound fight, why can't Anthony Joshua have a rebound fight?
Ahead of the Hellenius fight, Eddie Hearn sent correspondence to Shelley Finkel to start a dialogue for such a fight. And Deontay Wilder, in his own words, said not right now.
Not now, they're busy.
Shelley Finkel himself stated in so many words that he got the email. You know, Eddie did try to contact him, but they were going to hold off on those talks until after the Hellenius fight. Eddie's got to give AJ that same priority because he's worth a lot more money than Deontay Wilder.
The way they pester this guy between fights, the way they throw his name around and use it to promote themselves, it's nauseating.
You know that Tyson Fury's still talking about this guy. You know he's still bringing him up. He can't shut the fuck up about Anthony Joshua. And here we are with Deontay Wilder and Shelley Finkel. Back at square one. More of the same.
These guys get away with a whole lot in front of everybody.
Too much. Deontay, in his own words, would not even open up a preliminary dialogue about a Joshua fight. He said he's busy.
He literally just said that ahead of the Hellenius fight.
It's gotta stop. Eddie Hearn makes it too easy for these guys.
You're planning this guy's comeback fight, so plan his fucking comeback fight and focus on that. And tell these guys we're gonna do what you did. We're gonna hold off until after his next fight to have that conversation. And if you don't like it, you can walk.
You're currently under orders to fight Andy Ruiz anyway, your PBC stablemate. How do we know that you're not just wasting our time again, knowing full well that's the fight you're going to have?
Shelley Finkel said they're willing to do it in the UK. Shelley Finkel said they're willing to do it in Saudi.
That's what he said, but how do you know they're not just wasting your time? In a scenario like that, it would be Matchroom and DAZN doing all the legwork, not Shelley Finkel and not Al Heyman's PBC, because they ain't got no connections in Saudi Arabia, or the UK for that matter.
If Wilder doesn't fight Andy Ruiz, what does Andy do?
Well, listen, in an ideal world, Andy Ruiz, Deontay Wilder, you can mix and match their names with a lot of other fighters that are out there and make a lot of good fights in an ideal world. But in the world of boxing, things are seldom ever ideal. I don't know. Maybe they make Andy Ruiz versus Frankie Sanchez, that unbeaten guy.
Nobody's gonna buy that fucking fight. You think the Luis Ortiz numbers were poor? You do that fight.
You think the Ortiz numbers were bad? Wait till you get the numbers for a Frankie Sanchez versus Andy Ruiz fight. Next to nobody is gonna buy that fucking thing. We know that to some degree, Andy's association with the PBC hinders his autonomy. He tried to have a fight with Tyrone Spong on Triller, and the people at the PBC pulled him out of there, citing some sort of contract, some sort of agreement that he was reported to have already entered into. Thus, he didn't have the autonomy to do that Tyrone Spong fight when he wanted to do that fight. You don't end up in a situation like that.
I don't know, man. Shit like that don't happen on its own. Maybe he thought he was free to have an in-between fight, a keep busy fight, but they didn't let him.
So they're going to let Deontay Wilder go to DAZN and box Anthony Joshua. Is that what I'm supposed to believe? They wouldn't let Andy fight Tyrone Spong. They're going to let Wilder.
They're going to let him box off platform?
He's worth more money than Andy. To some degree, however nominal, he's more a part of their bottom line than Andy is. Surely, some skepticism is needed when broaching these stories.
Yeah, sure. All of a sudden, they're going to let him box off platform. They're going to let him go to DAZN.
It's not even coming from a desire to see the PBC fail or a desire to see the fight not materialize. I'm just saying that based on what's been going on, it's hard to believe.
Oh, yeah, just because Shelley says it, we're supposed to eat it up.
No, I don't think so. And it's for this reason, I don't think Eddie should spend too much time on these guys and whatever it is they're saying, whatever it is they're proposing. They could very well be just wasting your time. And just in keeping with the theme of men's heavyweight news, Joyce seems to be preparing for Usyk by eyeing a fight with Chinese heavyweight Zhang. For those not aware, you know Zhang, he's a southpaw.
And so is Usyk, though physically they're very different fighters.
Tactically as well, though you see the hierarchy of thought, the school of thought.
If you're about to fight a southpaw, you need to prepare with a southpaw, but Zhang, you know, he's a much bigger target than Alexander Usyk. Nowhere near as nimble or tricky.
Not as fleet of foot. Doesn't have the foot speed or the hand speed of an Usyk. But I'll tell you what. I like the fight. If Zhang is in the running for a Joyce fight.
Is he not in the running for an Anthony Joshua fight?
Is he not still in bed with Matchroom anymore?
What that could herald.
Unofficially, a lot of people feel that Zhang should have gotten the decision against unbeaten Filip Hrgovic. Unofficially, in that IBF final eliminator to crown a mandatory challenger by way of the IBF, unofficially, a lot of people feel that Zhang beat Philippe Hrgovic, though when your biggest win is a loss on paper.
I think that was a career-best performance for Zhang Zhang, but when your biggest win is essentially a loss, that's a participation award. That's an A for effort.
But it's still not the desired result. Going into a fight with Joe Joyce would likely be the betting favorite.
I think in that fight, Zhang Zhang showed that he's got power. He can hurt a guy if he has to hurt a guy, because he hurt Philippe Hrgovic several times throughout the course of their fight. But Philippe Hrgovic is not as proven, at least not at this time, as Joyce is.
He doesn't have the reputation for, being a juggernaut, the way that Joyce has a reputation for being a juggernaut. Philippe Hrgovic gained some notoriety for being this division's boogeyman after the IBF had to calm down their entire rank standings to find someone to share the ring with him for that IBF final eliminator. They had to do this 2 times, and both times
nobody wanted to do it. Not Luis Ortiz, not Andy Ruiz, not Joseph Parker. Nobody in their ranks wanted to take that fight. But Zhang Zhang, he stepped up to the plate, and after one fight with Zhang,
all of that boogeyman stuff stopped. All of that boogeyman talk. So Zhang Zhang, at minimum, has proven himself to be a capable and serviceable heavyweight, and I very much like the idea of Joyce versus Zhang.
Moreover, they really need to capitalize on Joyce's career best win over Joseph Parker. That was a signature fight for Joe, a signature performance, becoming the first man to stop Joseph Parker,
who's shared the ring with Carlos Takam, Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua, Dillian Veit. Out of all those guys, only Smoking Joyce was able to put Parker down and keep him down.
They need to get him out there. They need to get him out there quick. Get him back out there.
You don't want it to feel like it's been eons. You don't want it to feel like it's a ancient history since you last saw a guy in action. Joyce looked very impressive. He looked like a world beater opposite the ring, Joseph Parker. And you don't want people to relegate that.
You don't want this guy fading into the background. You don't want that going to the back of everyone's mind while other things are happening in the sport of boxing. Frank has got to keep this guy busy. With Zhang Zhang as somebody else.
Joyce doesn't look it, but both he and Zhang Zhang, they're both up there in age.
Yeah, neither one of those 2 guys is no spring chicken, I'll tell you that.
And I'll tell you this, if Frank Warren can get this fight over the line, I very much like the idea of it.
Let's see if he doesn't for the first or second quarter of next year.
Sorry that your son cannot know how to promote himself. I am sorry that he doesn't know how to talk when the camera is on. I am sorry that you have a bum-ass son. I'm sorry. But hey, he ain't it, man. And you know it. Their plans on becoming undisputed did not work for them.
They didn't?
Like they thought it would. They need to make money. And the best money fight that they will get won't be with Tank. It will be with Teofimo Lopez. I'm ahead of these guys 2-3 steps. So whatever they're trying to do, whatever they're trying to emulate, we've done that. We've did that. We became undisputed. We know how it goes. Sorry that your son cannot know how to promote himself.
This kid's delusional.
These sound bites are making the rounds and getting a lot of people's attention. These sound bites from the former unified lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez, who claims that Devin Haney's plans to become an undisputed champion did not go as planned.
Oh?
That
Devin Haney, for what it's worth, has been making very good money all on his own for a long time now, irrespective of a big-name opponent or a big-name fight.
Leonard Ellerby himself acknowledged that some months ago, that Devin and Bill did some very smart business over there at Matchroom and did even more smart business more recently with Top Rank, making the decision to enter into a multi-fight deal that would see Devin traveling to Australia 2 times to vie for the undisputed championship of the world in the lightweight division.
They've done some very good business. Smart business, Devin and Bill.
But not according to former unified lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo, whose business decisions saw him suffer a shock upset loss at the hands of George Kambosos. What are you supposed to make of this? Is Teofimo's brain broken, or is he just saying this stuff for reactions? Is this just another avenue of self-promotion?
Sounds like a fucking idiot.
You want my honest opinion? That's my honest opinion. Irrespective of why Teofimo is saying what he's saying, whether his brain is broken or this is just him talking himself into a major fight with a major player, because that's what Devin Haney is at this point. Irrespective of why he's saying what he's saying, what he's saying
Sounds like a fucking idiot.
sounds like a fucking bozo, a moron.
Contrasting his own business decisions to Devin's, I mean, Devin made very good money fighting the likes of Jorge Linares and Jojo Diaz and Yuriorkis Gamboa.
Made very good money at Matchroom. He's still making very good money over there at Top Rank. He's supposed to be entering into negotiations for a Vasyl Lomachenko showdown, and I'm sure that regardless of what the outcome is, he'll make very good money from that as well.
Nobody's counting Devin Haney's money for him, you understand. We just have to verify the validity of what it is that Teofimo's saying, and near as I could tell, what he's saying has no validity.
He's talking because he's got a mouth. He's just talking because he's got a mouth. He's got this Sandor Martin fight coming up. Sandor Martin, a crafty southpaw.
Experienced one with very good feet.
And given what he's saying, he better hope that that doesn't end up being yet another banana skin for him. Sandor Martin, a more interesting opponent, I'd say, than the man who was originally supposed to be opposite the ring, Teofimo, Jose Pedraza.
This guy might be trickier than that guy because that guy's on the back nine. This guy isn't. This guy's riding high.
He's hit his stride after having upset the apple cart for Mikey Garcia.
He has arrived.
He's going to be opposite the ring, Teofimo Lopez, early next month on the 10th, the same day as Terrence Crawford's upcoming title defense against David Avanese. And given that Teofimo is being as vocal,
He's talking all this fucking shit, you know, trash talk. It's a gift and a curse.
let's get one thing clear. Teofimo Lopez never was an undisputed champion in the lightweight division. Devin Haney, during his reign as a champion, was still that division's recognized WBC world champion.
And he is here today, his division's undisputed champion, something that Teofimo Lopez never was. A couple of yes men and sycophants aside.
Most of the boxing world knew then that Teofimo Lopez was not that division's undisputed champion.
So where does he get that Devin and Bill's plans did not go to plan or happen as planned? He's making very good money, still making very good money.
I think the only thing that Teofimo was right about is that a fight between him and Devin would be a big fight. It would be a big money fight for Devin, but it's not the only big money fight. I'm pretty sure he's going to make good money from this Vasyl Lomachenko showdown.
He's talking trash. He's talking trash. And trash talking in this sport, it's a gift and it's a curse. It is a good way to promote yourself and promote your fights, but
You draw attention to yourself. You know, that's what that does. You draw attention to yourself. But a part of the attention that you draw to yourself is because people are going to hold you to your word. You talk big talk.
people are going to expect big results. And you can't talk that way to Devin Haney if you end up losing to a Sandor Martin or somebody else. You already had one business decision blow up in your fucking face.
I don't think Teofimo or his father have come to terms with that. I don't think they've accepted that yet. Neither have his sycophants.
Allowing that George Camboso situation to have drug on as long as it drug on and drug out.
Better not be talking like this just to end up losing to Sandor Martin.
That'd be embarrassing.